Hello YouTube, and welcome back to Steel Forest Welding and Forge. Today, my friends, today is a very special day, at least for me. Today, my new forge finally came in the mail. I ordered this guy from Hell's Forge on Amazon, and it's going to replace my old forge. Now, my old forge was entirely hand-built by me. The burner, frame, the table it's sitting on, everything was built by me. And this was a great forge to kind of get me started into blacksmithing, but pretty small forge, not a lot of heating area. Anytime I had to heat something big, I had to kind of move it in and out. And because it was so short, I would always be hitting that cold spot because of the propane flame in the forge. And now that I'm actually getting into my own business, and I may require be required to do some larger projects, I decided that it was time for an upgrade. And not only is this guy bigger, but now I will have the ability to forge weld. This guy right here, this didn't ever get quite hot enough. However, this is a professionally built unit by people who know what they're doing. It's gotten some great reviews on Amazon. So we're going to do an unboxing video, a setup video, and a test video, all in one. And eventually, I'll be doing my very first forge welding video, and it's going to be a mostly unedited take. So if I have a successful first forge weld, we're going to see that. If I screw up a few times and have to redo it and kind of figure out what I'm doing, we're going to see that too. So let's go ahead, open this guy up and get started with the unboxing part. So let's go ahead and open this guy up. Now, I am by no means a professional photographer, so I'm going to do my best here to make sure you guys get a good view of what's going on. I've been practically jumping out of my pants the past 2.5 weeks. Could not wait to get this guy in the mail. All right. Hell's Forge USA. Here is, looks like an assembly manual. Looks like we've got a little, looks like just a little bit of grease or oil in there. Not bad. Definitely handmade by a small company, and I can tell because the instruction manual for my rocket stoves looks very similar to this one. Looks like there's just some rubber tips on here. Okay. We'll take a close look at those later. So here is a propane regulator, high pressure regulator with hose and adjustable dial. This looks similar to the setup actually that I have on my forge. Looks nice, brand new, shiny. Here we have the first part of the burner unit. So this is the actual valve, brass and copper fittings. Looks like a very similar setup to mine. Looks like we have some tubing here cut at a 45-degree angle, and looks like TIG welded on with some stop washers. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there is a significant bow in that. I'm guessing that's probably due to warpage from heat. I doubt that that is a problem. We'll see. And then looks like, what do we have on here? Some almost look like MIG welding tips, like for a large MIG welder. And a shut-off valve right there. That's pretty smooth. I tighten that handle down a little bit. All right, set that aside. Now for the big part. Oh yeah! You know, you can always buy something and look at the dimensions and kind of try and figure out how big something is, but you're never quite sure if it's going to be as big as you think in your mind. This bad boy definitely is as big as I thought it would be. Go ahead and put this down here for now. Take these two boxes out. take these burners out. I'll set this box aside. So let's look at this guy. Looks pretty nice. It's got some MIG welds on there. Don't look too bad. They did it in 2 passes. It's not too bad for 2 passes. I typically do those in 3. You know, there's quite a bit of paint missing off of here, on top of here. And this looks like a piece of tape or something. This is all kind of scratched up too. Is that a deal breaker? No, but I was assuming that this is something that would have been built once it was ordered and then sent to me, not something that was already fabricated and then sent out. Makes me wonder why it took almost 2 weeks to ship. See right here, Hell's Forge. It's a nice little tag. Got riveted on there. Got 2 feet down here with, looks like, 1/4 inch by 1 inch flat stock, just bent at 290s. And it looks like this entire unit here is a piece of formed sheet metal where they run a MIG bead down here. That MIG bead is slightly underfilled. I'm guessing this was ran probably vertical down, which is probably what I would do as well. Kind of a BB here, a BB there. I would have personally chipped those off, but you know, again, look at this. I mean, this guy is fairly scratched up. I mean, this unit was about $400. Personally, if I built something that was worth $400, I'd kind of make sure that it was pristine condition when I send it out to a customer. Okay, got adjustment nuts here. Let's see. Oh my. Doesn't look like they tapped those threads after they welded them on. You know, that's not a deal breaker, but my goodness. Whenever you weld a nut onto a tube, you should always tap it just to make sure you didn't mess up the threads. That's a bit of a turnoff. Okay, let's go ahead and set this aside for now. Look at these guys here. This is part of the burner. Carefully, I don't want to scratch it up. Now that looks sharp. Looks like this is, again, some tubing that, again, very scratched up. The holes here, it looks like they weren't deburred. There's actually a couple of burrs I'm kind of catching my fingers on. Ooh, that's a nasty one. See, we have an adjustment valve on there. Let's take a look at this other one. Again, same. This guy looks like this is probably how you adjust the height of the burner. Guessing those copper tips go in here. This is what clamps on in the tube. Somehow, you know, I'm not quite sure. Well, we're gonna find out, that's for sure. All right, let's see what's in these guys here. Ah, here we go. Looks like this is the, it's weird. A little bit of compound's already spilled on this brush. This is the compound used for coating the inside of the forge. You mix this in with some water and paint the inside of that blanket, that heat blanket. It hardens And then you are ready to go. You should be, yep, these are the 2 fire bricks that come with it. This is so you can set your material on something other than the blanket in the forge. This stuff, once it hardens, it is very hard, but also, I'm assuming if you drop material on it, it's probably going to crack. So you would want to place it on these bricks to avoid that from cracking. So we got 2, looks like this is high density fiber, or fire bricks. For those who may not know, there are 2 different kinds of fire bricks. There is high density and low density. These high density fire bricks are very tough material. It's what I built my first forge out of. These guys are very dense, very hard, and almost impossible to drill through, even with a masonry bit. Now the low density fire bricks are the opposite. They are quite light, not quite as dense, duh, and you can drill through those fairly easy with a masonry bit. I chose the high density fire bricks because they do tend to hold their heat a little bit better, and I wanted my forge to be a little bit more durable. Okay, well, that is the unboxing section. Looks like up next we'll be doing the prep for the coating on the inside of the forge. Then we'll be doing testing and we'll be firing her up. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step. The next step is going to be coating the inside and the outside ends of this heat blanket with some refractory material. The mixing instructions in the provided directions from Hell's Forge says that we should gradually add water and mix it in a whipping fashion until it's about the consistency of a milkshake. I'm going to go ahead and wrap the ends of this up with some masking tape. I kind of want to keep this thing looking as nice as I can for as long as I can. And then we're going to go ahead and coat it, and we're going to see how it turns out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put some masking tape here, just on the ends of this guy. As I said, I kind of just want to keep it looking nice for as long as I can. All right, now that's taken care of. I think we'll move on to this stuff. Hopefully I've got enough room in this tub. This is the biggest tub I had. They do specify in the directions to wear a dust mask and to wear gloves. I'm definitely going to wear gloves. I can see this getting everywhere. I don't have a dust mask on me right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and get it done anyway. However, I would recommend, for those doing this at home, if a compound asks you to wear a dust mask, probably in your best interest to wear a dust mask. Or a dust mask, not a dusk mask. Now, they do say you can actually add this with your hands. So, you might do a little bit of that. Add some with our hands, and just kind of rub it in. it just does not like to stick to this at all. Maybe I had this a little too thick. It's drying a little too much. Yep, so that's it. This was definitely a little too thick. And that's looks like caused me a lot of problems. I think what I might do, just kind of dip my hand in there, rub it through here, just kind of re-wet some of this refractory material, and maybe that'll help kind of smooth out the thick stuff, because otherwise I don't think I'm going to have enough material to get this all covered. You know what else too? Before you paint, just kind of feel around your wool with your glove on. Look for any spots that might have little pieces that are torn or getting ready to flake off. I'm having a hard time kind of getting around those. Every time I run over them to kind of smooth everything out, they just tend to rip out, and I can start over again and kind of push everything back. So now I'm going to go through and just kind of smooth everything out again with the definitely do this step. Just kind of dip your hand in that water, kind of go over everything one more time, just kind of smooth it out. You guys just love looking at my head. Alright, looks like I'm just about there. I'm going to shut it off, clean everything up before it hardens, and I'll give you guys a look at it. See what it looks like before it starts drying. Alright, there we go. Okay, so here's a shot of the forge after the Hellcat refractory material was added. So it went on pretty nice. I went over everything with that brush and kind of smoothed it out, gave it a nice look. This cart is going to be its new home. I do have an unboxing video of that as well, so please check that out when you get a chance. Alright, while that's drying, we can go ahead and do another important part of getting this set up. We need to do a leak test on the setup for the propane. So it came with these little rubber tips for testing for leaks. I'm going to take these rubber tips, I'm going to put them over these copper fittings here. Just going to lick my fingers and kind of rub that fitting so it slips on there a little easier. It's probably good. Oof, that does not want to go on there. Okay. So now I do have a propane tank down here. I'm going to go ahead and hook up this regulator to it. Slowly turn the propane while the gas is on and the caps are sealed. Spray soapy water right here at every connection, including your propane tank connection, while observing for any bubbles present which indicates a gas leak. Okay, so go ahead and turn on the propane tank. Turn our regulator to up the pressure. Now, one thing they don't mention is how much pressure to use. Oh, that's too much. I had it on at about 20 and those popped off. So let's try that again. You know, I think maybe I'll use a little bit of this soapy water to get that on there a little better. All right, regulator open all the way. Let's try that again. Now let's take it up to like, there we are at 10 again. So that should be plenty. Oh, and that's going to pop off, I can tell. Let's turn the pressure down to 5, I guess. All right. Gas back on. Nope. Yeah, we got a leak somewhere like right there. All right, so if rare gas leaks occur, unscrew fitting and apply gas-approved pipe sealant on the threads and re-screw back into the fitting. Not really sure what to do there since that's a copper tip. I guess we'll have to get some pipe sealant and do this again. All right, here we are for round 2. So what I have now is this gas-approved pipe sealant. I'm going to go ahead and kind of work this into the threads on this brass tip. We're going to get that back into that steel fitting there. And hopefully this is going to solve the issue we had with the leaks. When I was looking this stuff up, everyone said make sure you get it into those threads really well. So that's what we did. When I took this guy out, I cleaned it with acetone and a toothbrush too, to make sure I got any little bits of gunk on there off. Double check the other side. We're still getting a leak. I can see a little bit of maybe a flaw there in that fitting. Okay, well, I might have to give Hellsforge a call here, tell them there's something wrong with this assembly, because I definitely applied an awful lot of sealant. I don't want to use silicone tape. I might take this off and try again. Well, unfortunately, even after reapplying even more of this pipe thread compound and probably over-tightening this fitting here, I am still getting a leak. I'm a bit of a loss at what to do now. The only thing I can think of is that it's some kind of defect either in the tubing or in this brass or this copper tip. I'm not sure which. Let me try tightening this down just a hair more. That's not tightening any more than that. Not without destroying the threads. Yeah, still getting a leak. Son of a gun. You can kind of see right here. See all that bubbling up right there? Yeah, that's a problem. All right, well, I'll be giving Hell's Forge a call here, and we'll see what we can get done. All right, we got our replacement part from Devil's Forge. We're going to go ahead and test this guy now again and test for any leaks. Hopefully this guy is leak-free and we'll be able to get this forge going pretty soon. So, regulator open all the way, like normal. Propane on. Take this guy to 10 psi just like before. Now, copper fittings. This is what leaked last time. Oh, jeez. Look at that right there. Nothing there. Right there. There's a leak again. If you guys can see that. All right, well, I'm going to take this fitting off and I'll try and patch it. All right, we're back. Now, before I start, I want to make something very clear. I am not an amateur when it comes to flow through piping. I used to work in piping. I've had to deal with threads that had to be both leak-proof in the welding world, and as well as cutting threads, cutting piping. Okay, this is not something I'm a stranger to. At this point, if this leaks, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. I may ask for my money back. It's not something I really want to do. So, I absolutely globbed this pipe thread stick onto this fitting, more so than I normally would. I did take this fitting apart and look at it. When you cut threads on something, the only threads that are completely cut are at the opposite end of wherever you start. That is just because on a die, the initial cutting part of a die, the threads are very coarse. They're not completely cut. Typically what you would do is you would turn that die around and cut the other side. If this doesn't work, this still leaks, I might try that and see if that fits, or see if that solves this leak issue. Hopefully this will do it right here. Alright, so regulator off, gas on, take her back up to about 10 psi. Oh, would you look at that? Okay, now that leak is coming from the the rubber tubing. Okay, not the fitting. Thank goodness, no leaks. All right, looks like we're ready to move on to the next step. Welcome back. We're going to go ahead and finish the installation on these burners and get this forge going. Now in the instructions, they do specify to install the burner onto the tubing before you install the tubing into the forge. However, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have all that strain on those joints on that tubing. So I'm going to go ahead and put these burners into the forge first. In the instructions, they indicate to install these into the tubing until the bottom of this is flush with the fire blanket. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to insert this tubing. They specify to install it so that this is flush to the washers. That is a little bit big. Not too bad. That's probably why they ask you to install that first. Alright, so now that is flush. Double check. Make sure my tubing didn't move. It did not. There are 2 bolts here that need to be tightened with an Allen wrench. Go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and install the regulator. Alright. Everything is installed. I'm going to go ahead and move this to the center of the garage, adjust the burners, and we'll see how this thing fires up. Alright guys, here we are. We're getting ready to fire this guy up. I went ahead and placed the 2 fire bricks inside of this forge to protect this refractory material from being damaged. You don't want to lay your steel on top of this refractory material. It's actually very fragile, very brittle. So this way, that protects that from getting damaged. Now, I want to say one thing about lighting forges. Everyone kind of has their own way of doing it. Now, the way that Hell's Forge recommends you light their forge is have all of your gas off, place a flammable material inside, like probably newspaper, light that on fire, then turn on your tank with your regulator off, then turn on your regulator. Now that's okay. That's a fine way to light your forge. There is one downside to lighting it that way. The downside is that whatever flammable material you have in there, there is a good chance this is going to fly out. Okay, this is the experience I had with my forge when I first was learning how to light my own gas forge. I would put a piece of newspaper in there, light the forge, and boom, it'd come flying out. Then you have like flammable paper all over your shop. Not good. Is that going to happen with this one? I don't know. The method that I developed that works well for me is I would turn my gas on. Now I also had an adjustable valve up here, one that would turn off my entire gas supply. This one only turns off half the burner. So that's why they recommend that you light something down here first, and then turn on your gas and your regulator. Your regulator is your on and off switch for this setup. They don't have a total shutoff valve. And their method prevents the buildup of propane gas in a big, whoosh. So what I would do is I would light a small MAP gas burner like this, light it, turn my gas on, boom, it would go. I'm going to try to stick to this method for now and see how it works. If it seems a little shady, then maybe I'll go back to lighting it like they recommend. Right, so right now we have these burners completely open, or these, I'm only going to light half the forge. I'm only going to light this burner right here. Then I'm going to adjust the flame, and then we will see how that needs to be adjusted so that we can adjust the other one. So right now my regulator is off. I'm going to go ahead and turn my gas on. Gotta open the drawer to do that. Now my main valve is on and my regulator is off. So once this gets going, I'm going to do this pretty quickly because I don't want too much propane to build up in the room. So, there it is. I got it sputtering. I think we need a little bit more propane. hot. All right, everything's off. It is bright orange hot in there. That's amazing. Super, super hot. All right, I think we'll go ahead and turn the video off right now. I'll let this cool down a little bit and I'll give some final thoughts on this forge. Okay, so here are some of my final thoughts on this forge. I think I'm gonna like this forge. This forge puts out a lot of power. Now, I see that as an advantage and a disadvantage. Disadvantage being this forge, as far as fuel, seems to be quite a bit more inefficient than my smaller forge. My smaller forge ran at about 7 to 8 psi. You know, that's nothing compared to this guy who likes to seem to run somewhere around 25 or 30. I think I might do some poking around online and seeing that's what other people want as well. It's a run at as well. It's kind of strange that I have to have these burners here all the way open, and I wonder why they would have an adjustment option if I have them running efficiently. So do some more looking around there. I was very annoyed at the fact that I got a setup that leaked. In my opinion, when you send out a product, you should test it beforehand, not have your customer test it to save yourself some cash. Now, credit where credit is due. I tested this guy on a Friday. I sent a message to the Amazon store, Hell's Forge, that I had received a part that was leaking that I could not patch. They sent me a message early Sunday morning apologizing for the inconvenience and that they would contact the manufacturer. Later that day on Sunday, they told me that they would replace this burner at no cost to me, not to worry about it. So I assumed I'd probably get the part by next Friday. My part was here at my doorstep on Tuesday. So they did a great job at replacing this part and making it extremely convenient. So credit where credit is due, Hell's Forge, good job there. This forge is a monster. You can see I took a piece of probably 1.5 foot steel in there, and it's dwarfed in this thing. I only need one burner. I bought this guy because one of the tripods I make for campfires, you have to put some pretty big heats in that guy and some big twists. So I needed a bigger forge in order to do that, and this is definitely going to accommodate my needs. I think, however, that I may actually get my smaller forge back up again and maybe get a new table for that guy. It seems like for large projects I'll want to run this forge, but for smaller projects I'll still want to run my little forge. I can seem to get a lot more fuel or bang for my buck with the propane on that little guy than this big guy. But final thoughts. I love this forge. It seems like it's going to serve my needs, exceed my needs actually. Got a good setup on here that I like, so I am very happy. I would highly recommend anyone out there looking into getting into blacksmithing and maybe upgrading their forge, give Hell's Forge a try. It seems like a good product, seems like a nice company. They've got good customer service, and I would highly recommend them. Thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe. Please smash that like button. It's going to help me out immensely in getting this channel going. And I'll see you guys in the near future where we're going to be doing my first forge welding in this guy. Make it or break it. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your day.